What is up, everyone, and welcome to my Xenomorph PvP build overview for Elden Ring. First, we're going to go over the equipment, then we're going to go over the sliders so that you can be an absolutely terrifying menace in the lands between. It's a really fun build, so be sure to stick all the way through so that you can see the PvP highlights at the end of the video. For the equipment, we're using the Beast Claws, the Buckler Shield for parrying, the Magma Worm's Scale Sword, the Greaves of Night, and the Vulgar Militia Helm. And for talismans, we've got the Furled Fingers Trick Mirror and the Concealing Veil, as well as some talismans that I'm using to help get light load. I also use Poison Stone Clumps and Rot Pots to inflict rot and poison on the enemies. Now I'm going to go ahead and get into the sliders, and I'll be back at the end of the video to show you some PvP footage. So the purpose of the Magma Worm Scale Sword on this build is actually, it's pretty useless. It's totally used for cosmetic purposes. It's meant to look similar to a Xenomorph tail. I think it looks pretty fucking cool. So it's really up to you whether or not you want to use it. You don't need the stats for it to wear it on your back. It's purely for cosmetic purposes. And if you switch your weapon, it's gonna come off and it's gonna go into your left hand. But again, just drip purposes only. I love the way that it looks, and I think it really adds a lot to the Xenomorph cosplay aspect. So my recommended approach for this build is to use a high dex, high arcane build. This is because you want to be able to attack really fast, and you want to be able to make sure that you're getting huge chunks of damage whenever you're able to roll catch people. Roll catching is really important for this build, especially because you're not wearing any armor. You want to be able to make sure that you can get in, get as many attacks in as you can, and then get out. Using rot pots to rot your enemies is also super helpful because it'll add pressure to them and kind of make them start to run away from you a little bit. And whenever they're running away from you, it puts you at an advantage because the Beast Claws are really good at helping you pursue your enemies. Now, people like this guy can use their katana to kind of like slash at you repeatedly. You have really low poise with this build, but you also have really high punish potential. So it's really easy to stay close to your enemies and pursue them really quickly, especially if you've chosen to go with light load, like I did. Because if you're medium load, it might be a little bit harder, just because of the less iframes and whatnot. But either way, it's super effective. You can pursue people very easily and roll catch very easily. So the weapons that I'm using are obviously the Beast Claws. I have the Buckler Shield used for parrying just because it's really nice to be able to land a parry. And I have Carian Retaliation on the Buckler to be able to parry spells in the event that I need to. The Ash of War that I use is Savage Claws because it can really, really just absolutely obliterate people. It can build bleed really quickly. I also have the Lifesteal Fist, as you can see here, which is really effective at just grabbing people out of their animations, and it's super satisfying to watch. Obviously, using Rot Pots or the Poison Stone Clumps is also very helpful. You can also use Poison Daggers to kind of get some poison in from a distance. It adds a little bit of range to the character, kind of emulating the Acid Spit of the Xenomorph. And it kind of, they're not very, I mean, obviously these things are really easily invalidated by smart players, but that doesn't make it fun to use, and it also just kind of, it makes you feel cool whenever you're just throwing these things at them, because, you know, everyone uses all kinds of, you know, random bullshit in PvP in this game, and typically people lean towards the very, very specific metas, so it feels really satisfying to come at someone with this really random assortment, this seemingly random assortment of weapons, and actually terrify them, honestly. People get really intimidated by this build, and it's a lot of fun to use. Obviously, with all cosplay builds, it's really important that you learn spacing. Another aspect of this build is if you are using these things to cause status buildup, like, you know, the bleed from the Beast Claws or the Rot or the Poison Stone Clumps, whenever someone is backing away, it's really important to close in on them, because if they're backing away, it's probably because they're going to try and, you know, heal their status ailment with a bolus or something, so that gives you an opportunity to punish them as well. So there's a lot of punish potential, especially because of the Beast Claws. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you next time. Take care, everyone.